Wizard World, Cleveland, a huge round of applause for Carl, Mr. Chandler Riggs.
Hey, guys. Oh, it's quite the crowd for a Sunday.
It is, right?
Yeah, especially in daylight savings and everything. Look at you guys.
Oh, daylight. It gets us all. And, every year people talk about, how daylight saving messes them up or whatever. And I'm like, I fly across the country every weekend, 3-hour time change. You guys, it's like you went one time zone over, and it messes you up for weeks. I don't know. I feel like people just love to complain. I certainly do.
I definitely do, yeah.
Yeah, no, I certainly do. All right, so there's so many aspects to cover, and you and I have talked about this before, but I'd love to know, because you were 10 years old when you got started on the show, how did you come to get started as an actor at all? Like, was that something you wanted when you were real little? Was that something your parents had wanted, you talked about? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, so my parents were doing, my mom is, theater major, like it's all about, she taught for, however many years, but theater was like the thing that she really wanted to do. So she did community theater from time to time, and my dad would be in some of the bands for the musicals. And we couldn't really afford a babysitter, so my parents had to bring us to all the rehearsals. And I was like 3 or 4 or something, and I really wanted to be on stage. And so the next play that they were doing at that theater was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And the director for it really wanted my dad to be in the band for it, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it if you put my kid in the show." So he did, and I was just like in the kids choir, but I loved being up like on stage. And I did a couple of other like things at my church and whatnot. I auditioned for like the big kid roles, and then kind of one thing led to another. Got an agent, got a couple commercials and some like small roles in films, and then got the audition for Walking Dead. Got pretty lucky.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So wait, how old were you in that first show?
The first like thing that I did on stage.
You did on stage, yeah.
I was 4.
4?
Yeah, and then like 5 when I had like actual like lines.
My God, and so you were 4 and you're like, no, I want to be up there.
Yeah.
That's wild. Most 4-year-olds are hiding behind their parents when they go out in public. You were like, nope, I'm ready. Welcome me, world. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So speaking of 4, in season 4, episode 4, I'm known for my segues, folks. You had a pretty monumental 14th birthday on set, right?
I did.
I know there's a really fun story you have about that. I would love to hear it.
Yeah. So in Georgia, they have labor laws, so they can't work long hours, or they have to have school and whatnot. Also, another one where you can't touch a firearm on set until you turn 14. So before then, I had just used like prop guns, or actually they had me use like a 1911, but it was plugged, and it was like had all sorts of stuff done to it to make like the state of Georgia okay with me using it. And so there was a scene in that episode where Rick and Carl were in the courtyard, and they were like the walkers had like breached the fence, and they were like mowing all of them down in the courtyard with the machine guns. And I read the script, and I was like, are they planning this around my birthday? And I got so excited, and it came up, and then sure enough, they scheduled that scene to shoot on the night of June 26th, because my birthday is June 27th, so they were shooting it on the 26th and the 27th. So what they did was they were shooting, they were going to like go until midnight, and then after midnight, and then shoot the rest of the scene. So we were all we were shooting basically every other part of the scene, and we finished at around 11 something. We were all just kind of waiting around, literally just waiting for for it to be my birthday so we could like start shooting. And it got closer, and then everyone started like counting down, and then hit midnight, everyone cheered, and then Andy came over and he knighted me with a machine gun, and he was like, "Give this man some bullets," and we just went shooting for the next like 3 hours, and then we came back again the next night and kept going, and it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. I feel like that should be referred to as like a redneck bar mitzvah.
Absolutely.
Like if we had to come up with a name for that.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So I know you have spoken so glowingly and lovingly about your relationship with Andrew Lincoln over the years, and how he was very much like a mentor to you, because you started the show when you were 10. I've even heard you talk about how you said sometimes he might give you pieces of direction or like something to think about while you were shooting a scene to kind of get you in the right place. And I'm wondering, were there any scenes that stick out to you? Any tips he might have given you that have sort of stayed with you through now?
I think there was one thing that I didn't even notice that he did until I think Alana had, the girl who plays Tara, I think Alana had mentioned it to me at some point. I didn't even notice that he was doing it until she mentioned it to me like a year ago. And he did this thing on set where whenever he was like doing a pretty highly emotional scene, which was like every damn episode, honestly, like it's insane. He would do this thing where he would just like look at his hand, and I thought it was just like kind of weird, because he would just go off on his own and just like stare at it in the sky. And but he was, what it was is that it was a thing that he had learned from his acting classes from when he was in college, and just to kind of bring everything like internal. So all of the distractions on set, like the cameras moving and the lights, like the lighting guys yelling at each other to like move this light over here, and the DP, trying to get the focus right. So there's a lot going on, and so he would just do that to kind of bring everything to himself. And I started doing that on A Million Little Things. I would do it like a little bit differently. I would just have my hand be like another voice talking to me, basically, and like kind of like have a battle within myself. So on screen, it like looks, you can really see the confliction from my character, and it made a lot of sense. So I don't know. I guess that's one thing that I kind of picked up even after being off the show. So I don't know. I just thought that was cool.
No, that's great. Those British actors, man, it's just
God,
not fair.
I know, stealing all of our jobs. Terrible.
They're stealing our jobs.
Terrible.
They take acting seriously. For us, it's like a hobby.
I know.
Why? Why must they put us to shame that way? So now, even though you had the redneck bar mitzvah, still there are strict Screen Actors Guild union labor laws as to how many hours in a day a kid actor is allowed to work. And I know they had a fun way to get around this for you. Like, we say he pumpkins out after, it was, I think 10 and a half hours?
Yeah, 9.5 until you turn 16. And then
okay,
10
then 10 and a half. And so when you pumpkined out, they had a Carl dummy. Right?
Yeah.
A life-size, Carl-size dummy to have, in the frame or something. If it's a big wide shot, if you're just laying there. And I know that dummy was used. Was it actually used in the scene after Carl takes the arrow through the eye?
The bullet?
Oh, the bullet. Oh, that's right. It was a bullet through the eye.
It was an arrow.
Oh, no. Lord. You know what it is? There's so many arrows and bullets through the eyes on the show. It all melds together at some point. I'm like, how else can they keep hurting these good people? But yes, the bullet through the eye. My apologies.
Yeah. So they, I had a photo double that they would bring in from time to time, like where it was just, they would throw the wig and a hat on someone that was like kind of my frame, and just like shoot like, over the shoulder, or like do whatever shots that they like didn't get, because they would get my coverage obviously first so they could shoot me out. But so they made the dummy. It was mainly just so they could get the prosthetic right, but they took a whole mold of my face, which was absolutely terrifying if you've ever had that done. It's like they put this plaster, like they put a bald cap on me, and then they put this plaster all over my face and all over my head, and I literally, like, they poke two holes for your nose for you to breathe. That's it. It is incredibly claustrophobic because you have this weight on your face. You can't move your face at all. All you can breathe is like just these two little holes, and you can't like open your mouth or move at all. It's terrifying. And so they did that so they could have it, dummy to get the prosthetic right. And so anyways, they ended up actually using it for one of the shots. So in the episode where Carl gets his eye shot out, he takes the bullet, and then he he says "Dad," and then he falls over. And then there's a commercial break. Right after the commercial break, Rick comes down and like scoops up Carl to like run to the infirmary. When he scoops him up and starts running, that's straight up the dummy. It's like you can see like it's like Andy does an incredible job of selling it as like a heavy, like 100-something pounds, but no, it's like. Yeah, you can look and you can see that the arms are like really floppy and weird, and it doesn't move like I have any bone, and like my arm is like that. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't move right. So if you go back and watch it, you can tell. But it was so weird walking into the hair and makeup trailer and seeing me sit in the chair. I was like really worried that it was gonna like open its eyes and be like, "Ha, you're being replaced." Yeah, so glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, follow-up question.
Yes.
Where is that dummy now, and can I use him for the carpool lift?
I want to know where it is. I don't know where it is. It's probably in like Greg's basement or something.
They do not destroy
else.
props on that
show.
show.
No, they don't. It is definitely somewhere in some warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pitch for an unscripted AMC show, The Search for Carl's body.
I love it. It's
somewhere. We know that dummy exists somewhere, and I want to find it. All right. Just a reminder, guys, we have that microphone there, so if I start seeing people getting lined up for questions, I will throw to you. Now, I know you spent, I guess, the entirety of your time on the show as a kid, and, they're, like I said, they're very strict, so they make sure that you keep up with your schooling. There's a teacher on set and a trailer just for schooling while you're there. But I know you also made the decision to attend a public high school while you were filming. And how important was that to you to be able to have sort of that semblance of a real regular life while having that crazy filming TV star life?
For me, I mean, I was homeschooled for a couple of years during like seasons like 2 and 3 of Walking Dead, and man, I was losing my mind. Like it's homeschooling is great for some people. It works perfectly. Definitely does not work for me. It is not for me at all. And I would come home and I would be hanging out with a couple of my friends, and they would be like, oh yeah, this teacher did like this funny thing, and this kid did this. And I'm like, man, I feel like I'm really missing out. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna like just try. I'm just gonna go for it again, and just really. Try to get the teachers to work with me, now that Walking Dead is like actually an established thing. Because during this first season, my teachers thought that I was just skipping school, They didn't know that they didn't understand that it was an actual thing that I was going to do.
Yeah. They don't take the zombie apocalypse seriously at that school.
I know. It's yeah. But, yeah, and then, I had great teachers. They were super great, super supportive. And apparently the superintendent of the county was told the principal to make it work. So I don't know, but
good to have friends in high places.
Apparently,
Super Nintendo Chalmers.
Yes.
Thank you.
But no, it was great. I mean, all my teachers were really cool about it. The principal was cool with it, and I got all of my work done, and my teachers would like send me a couple of tests to do on set or whatnot, so I wouldn't get behind. And it was great because I got to, just dip out of class for like a week at a time, But I would still get all my work done. It was just great to like be able to have a normal life and be on Walking Dead. And everyone at school, like, no one cared that I was on the show, because I had known everyone before I was on Walking Dead. So everyone was just, they didn't care. So it was great to have a normal life outside.
That is great. Yeah, that is a rarity, and I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get some questions. Hello, my dear.
Hello. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
This is my people here. So.
These are your. Oh, good.
I was at
good.
DC with him with my nephew. Anyway,
okay, fair enough.
Hi,
what do you got
Chandler. It's so nice to meet you. So yesterday I had mommed you because I was like, I'm so proud of you, and it's like I babysat. I was telling somebody, I was like, I felt like I babysat him. I'm in my 40s, so. But long story short is like when we were talking to my sister about it, I said, he was. I realized I want to comment on one thing. I realized that as a parent, it's like that show and that motivation was you. And I know that people think it's so silly, but like I have a 10-year-old, shout out Judea. Anyway, so long story short is I want you to know you were the glue, okay? Because that was the motivation for Rick. So, and then I want to say that because I mommed you, Did you ever with the character ever feel like, I really would like him to grow up on this part? I know actors always say it, but that where you were like, I'm older, the character, you're playing whatever age or whatever, but I'm saying like where you thought, I wish that they would speed along the maturity or the character or whatever the case may be, because for a lot of people it was the pudding episode, and I'm looking around, I want that pudding can, but long story short was there a time where you were like, I want the character to be more mature, more older, to make more, was there any time?
Well, the fortunate part is that they never really established Carl's age.
Yeah.
They almost did, because they never wanted to establish an actual timeline of the show. They never wanted to say, oh yeah, we're 2 years in, because there was one time actually where Daryl said that they had been out there for 2 years, and I brought it up to the showrunner, and I was like, hey, if we've been in here for 2 years, Judith would be walking and talking. So they cut that out and made sure to never establish any sort of actual timeline, because otherwise it would make Carl's aging would make no sense and Judith's aging would make no sense. So, but the cool part about what you're talking about is that a lot of those moments that people say were really childish of Carl were specific moments from the comics and things that I were really, really stoked about. I was the biggest fan of The Walking Dead on set. On set, when we were filming season 1, when they put out comic number 75, they had at the end of the comics, they had all of it was when they were announcing the show, and they had all of our cast photos in the back, with the names of our characters, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I went around and had all the cast members anyways, the point is that I knew every the names of every. I was the biggest fan of the show and of the comics while I was on it. So all of those things that Carl did on the show that seemed childish were big parts of the comics and things that I was so stoked to do. And I didn't really see them as childish. I was just super stoked to do them. And I think he really kind of came full circle at the end and showed his maturity, So I think it all kind of wrapped up pretty nicely.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bruce Wayne?
Hey, thank you. And Sam, by the way, you've done a great job. I told you earlier, you have been a great moderator.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, seriously, give it up for Sam.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
thank you.
I've had some pretty decent moderators in the past, but Sam seriously blows them out of the park. You guys are getting a treat here, seriously.
Oh my gosh, thank you. No, please, what's your question?
I agree. Well, I will say that we watched you grow up, Carl, and you become a man.
No, Chandler. Chandler's name's Chandler.
Chandler, I'm
good.
sorry. You're so right. Chandler, I'm sorry. I have a son that looks just like you when you were younger. It looked just like you, and when you died, it broke my heart. I had to go hug him for 5 minutes with tears in my eyes, and he got really weirded out.
I was going to say, that's probably really weird for him.
It was so weird for him. But anyway, you grew up on that show. How did you see yourself changing? How did you see yourself growing into that man, and how did it change your life? And as a parent, are you going to college?
Well, growing up on a set, or being just I don't know. It seemed for me it was just it was a normal part of my life. I would just I'd go to school, and then sometimes I would go to work, and that's kind of what it was to me. It was just going to work and going to hang out with all the cast, and it didn't really feel like anything special when we were on. I mean, of course, it felt like we were making something awesome, but it didn't. It just felt like we were going to work, and it didn't feel like it was really impacting this many people. When you're doing it, so it's crazy to really feel that coming to these conventions and having people tell me these stories of how much it's changed their lives and how much it's affected them. It reminds me of why I keep doing it, because we don't get that gratification when we're on set, but we do when we're here. And that's why I like coming to these, because I get to hear how it affects you guys, and it reminds me why I'm an actor. But for college, I was planning on going to university, because I'm from Georgia, and I was planning on going to University of Georgia, and I got in, I got the dorm set up, everything was good to go, and then I found out that I wasn't going to be on the show anymore. So I decided to kind of switch gears and use the momentum that I was going to have coming off of Walking Dead to kind of try and propel my career in Los Angeles. So moved out to LA and went out on tons and tons of auditions. Didn't get a call back for like a year and a half, and until I landed a million little things. And yeah, it's great. So, but now I'm just back to auditioning. Just the grind.
It's a grind,
All right,
man.
thanks.
Yes.
And I think you got a big future ahead of you.
God, I hope
Agreed.
so.
Wholeheartedly agreed. Hello, young lady.
Hi. So I was wondering what the saddest death was you throughout the entirety of the show, and if you know the song Carl Papa.
Absolutely, yes. Actually, when the bad lip reading, when the first one came out, I was going around on set and showing everyone, like all the crew, all the cast, and because it was hilarious. But the saddest death, I think. Oh man, I mean, I feel like they were all really sad, but the hardest scene to film was Laurie's death scene, only because it lasted like 3 days. It took us like 3 days to shoot that whole sequence. And I mean, Sarah gave an incredible performance, and I don't know, it took so long, and it was just so many hours out of every day for so many days in a row, just like of doing the same thing and just sobbing and like having to go into that mindset every single day. And I feel like I just kind of got like numb for a while. It was really weird for a 13-year-old to be doing that. But yeah, that was probably the saddest. I mean, other than like me having to leave, that was really sad. But yeah, I would say Laurie's death scene was pretty sad.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hello.
Hey.
So, can I ask 2 questions?
Of course.
Okay. So, I have to write them down, or else my mind's everywhere. So, what is your favorite thing that you hear when you meet fans?
I love to hear how my characters have just helped them in some way in their lives. Like, especially with I don't know if most of you have seen my work on A Million Little Things, but my character struggles with depression, and he attempts suicide and eventually doesn't, and kind of pulls through. And I get a lot of people coming up to me and telling me that PJ, my character, has like helped them get through what they were going through at that time, which is so cool. Or I get people telling me that seeing Carl grow up in the apocalypse and push through like against all odds, like inspired them to get through cancer. It's like stuff like that. It's just you don't It's just you don't even know how to take that in. Like I don't even know how to comprehend how much that is God, I don't even know. It's just that's just the coolest stuff to me is hearing how my characters have inspired them to do do something in their lives that they didn't think was possible. It's amazing. It's so cool, and that's why I'm an actor right there, is to make people feel something and make people to connect to the characters that I play, good or bad. And hearing that means that I succeeded. So it's cool.
There you go.
Okay. Oh no, my phone's off. So, what is your favorite and least favorite scenes to film?
Oh man,
I've got a guess about one of those.
I feel like my favorite and least favorite scenes are like the same, because on A Million Little Things we do a lot of comedy, and I am terrible at comedy. Like I am terrible at keeping it together, because I haven't worked with much comedy before. So when I'm on set and I'm doing a comedic scene, I break every damn take. It is so hard not to break. It's just I have not gotten that. I haven't gotten that good at keeping it together. So it's my least favorite, because I know I'm just terrible at holding it together for the rest of the other actors in the scene. But it's also my favorite because it's hilarious, and working with comedy is so much fun. Yeah.
There you go. You got to learn the thumbtack trick. You keep a thumbtack in your hand and you kind of squeeze down on it, And
makes
I used to have to do that too when I was a teenager.
That's actually a great idea.
It's really painful, but I
Yeah.
guarantee you will not laugh. You might have scarring, but you will not laugh.
Okay.
Now, I have a follow-up question because
Yeah.
I know you have been a heavy recurring on A Million Little Things now the last few years. How are you enjoying shooting on a glorious air-conditioned soundstage in Los Angeles as opposed to the humid swamps of Georgia?
Oh my God, you guys have no idea. No, actually, in the first season of Walking Dead, we spend every single day. None of it was shot on a soundstage. Well, actually, maybe some of it in the first season, but like 99% of the first season was shot on location outside in record-breaking heat every day. It was terrible. And for episode 6, the first day that we were shooting in the CDC, we walked in and air conditioned. And oh my God, that was glorious. Just walking in, just feeling air conditioning for the first time in like 3 months was amazing. So it's great being on a sound stage, and we're actually in Vancouver, so it's even better with the super cool
they shoot that
air.
in Vancouver?
Yeah.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah.
They did, in fact, fool me.
Exactly, yeah.
So even better. Oh, so
Even
it's
better.
like even if you have to shoot out exterior scenes, it's nice
and cool.
It's
and,
temperate.
like, yeah, it's great. It is great. But it's also great being clean because every single day in hair and makeup, they would have to spray like fake dirt on our hands, and we'd have to like dig it into our fingernails. So like I'd come home and I'd have fingernail or just like dirt. It's not real dirt. It was like whatever
Stage dirt.
It was exactly. But it was just all over my hands and all over my neck and face and arms, and just you just come home and you're just coated in sweat, and it's the most disgusting thing ever. And I'm pretty sure that's how they got Norman's hair so well, because he just never showered ever. It's just really
Yeah, that checks out.
exactly yeah. But it is amazing shooting on a soundstage for
good.
sure.
Good. Happy to hear it.
Yes.
Glad you're enjoying it. Yes.
Hi, Chandler. I have a few questions for you. Did you ever keep
A
any...
few.
3. I have 3, sorry.
Okay.
Did you ever keep any props on The Walking Dead?
The last day they gave me one of the hats that Andy wore from season 1, and then they gave me one of the Science Dog shirts that I also wore in season 1. It's pretty cool. It's like framed. It's like up on my wall, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
And my next question is, you started really young. Did any of the zombies scare you?
No, I loved it. I played so many zombie video games, and it's like Halloween. It's like at the conventions. People cosplay in like crazy costumes that are sometimes they look pretty scary, but like they're just normal people just walking around. It's pretty much like that on set because they're just normal people walking around, and then like when they say action, they're like, rah, rah. And it's like you're not scaring anyone, dude. You're just.
You're not talking about a million
not.
little pieces now, right?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And my last question is, what are you working on? Any projects, TV shows, or movies?
Well, other than A Million Little Things, I produce music. I haven't released anything in a while just because I'm got a lot of stuff that I'm working on music-wise. But I do that. I live stream on Twitch for like 8 hours a day, like 3 times a week, because I have nothing better to do. So, yeah, that's about it. Just other than that, just tons of auditions.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you. Well done.
Hi, so how do you think you would be if you were raised by Negan instead of Rick?
Ooh.
Oh, I'd be a psychopath.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like I'd be full Shane by the end of like season 2 of the Negan show. Yeah, it'd be bad for sure.
There's nothing wrong with
Speaking of which,
There's nothing wrong with
he's got the shirt and
Yeah.
everything.
As a fan of The Walking Dead, as you were on set, do you think Rick's still alive? And if so, where? Where is he at?
Rick is definitely alive. And so my theory on everything that I don't know if everyone here is caught up with season season 10, season whatever.
No, it's 10. I confirmed it before. It's 10.
Yes. I promise I'm caught up. It's just so my kind of theory is that the whole like CRM thing that they're setting up, they're setting it up to be like the CRM versus the Commonwealth, and there's going to be like a big like battle at the end. That's kind of how they're going to like close out the whole franchise. That's kind of my guess. Is I promise I know nothing. Okay, I'm not spoiling anything. This is purely my guess. Okay, disclaimer.
No, they barely tell the actors who are currently shooting the shows.
Exactly.
So I don't imagine.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of my guess on that whole thing, and that Rick will be at CRM or whatever, and then Maggie will be at the Commonwealth. So that's kind of my guess on what it is. Yeah.
Thank you. Back to Negan, though, real quick. What do you think he did before the apocalypse?
I'm pretty sure, wasn't he like a used car salesman? Isn't that what Robert Kirkman said? That he, yeah.
Oh, see, my theory is he was a high school teacher and he's a baseball coach.
Wow.
Seems fair. Yeah. Makes sense.
Multiple jobs.
Hey. How you doing?
Good.
Welcome to Cleveland, Chandler.
Thank you.
Home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. On the road.
That's right.
Thank you. I was just curious, being a young childhood actor, do you feel like you've been typecast at all, like a lot of people have in the past?
Well, I've done my fair share of horror films, very low-budget horror films that don't end up going anywhere. I've done a lot of those. But I don't know. I mean, the show that I'm on, or that I was heavily recurring on, was not horror whatsoever. It was a completely different audience. So I don't think so. I mean, I hope not. I hope that's not why I'm not getting any callbacks. But
Yeah, I don't even know what typecasting would be. Like, oh no, he only gets offered movies and shows that are about the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't think so either. I mean, I know you've worked a bit since then, so no, I'm gonna pull rank and say no, he has not been typecast.
Yes. But plus, I think with the hair and when I don't have the hat on, the eye patch, I feel like Carl had a very distinct look that I don't have anymore. Which I think helps a lot with the typecasting thing.
Okay, thanks, too.
Yeah.
In regards to Vancouver, have you happened to run into the cast of Riverdale filming up there?
I was supposed to, I played in this charity soccer match, and KJ Appa was supposed to play, but then he pulled out, and I'm so glad that he did, because I bought shin guards specifically because I fully expected my shins to be destroyed from him, because that dude would destroy me in a game of soccer for sure. But no, I mean I haven't met them, but I'm sure they're awesome people and fun to work with. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello. I just wanted to tell you that your ending montage in The Walking Dead was one of the most beautiful parts of that show. And the first time I saw it, I am just crying my eyes out. And I say something about how beautiful the song is in the background, because it's one of my favorite songs. And I was told that you chose that song to play. Is that true?
No. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Bright Eyes?
Yeah. I didn't choose that one. I found it after, because it's an awesome song. I didn't choose it, but I agree. It's a very it is definitely. I mean, they went full force in terms of making everyone watching that super depressed, because that was the most depressing script I have ever read in my life. Like I was going through and I was reading some of this stuff, and I was like, Jesus Christ! Well, I was reading the thing to Judith, and I was like, why? This is not necessary, guys. Just let me die already, please. Wow. This is just too much. So, I don't know. It was still beautiful, but it was so sad. Like they really wanted to make you cry. I think Scott or Matt or one of the showrunners wrote that episode, and with the full intention of making everybody reading the script and watching it cry in every scene. It was just, it was miserable.
Yeah, mission accomplished.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Still weeping over it.
It was very effective. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
So I know, of course, you were Carl on The Walking Dead, but you also did get to voice Carl in an episode of Robot Chicken, if I'm not mistaken.
That was so much fun.
Yeah? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I wasn't going to do it originally. I don't think any of us were. And then I'm pretty sure either Andy or Jeffrey Dean or one of the main people on the show signed up for it, and everyone was like, okay, I guess we're all doing this. and we all I think the only people that didn't voice themselves are Dale, Andrea, and Oh, I don't think Lori. Well, I mean, I'm saying the character's name because it's just easier. And Lori, I don't think they voiced themselves, but everyone else was like voiced themselves, and that was so much fun because they I got to do the old man Carl and like the regular Carl and like a couple other voices here and there, and yeah, that was so much fun.
Do you remember what the bit in Robot Chicken was? For those who haven't seen it, like what the joke, what the scene was in the show?
Which I mean, it was a whole episode.
It was the whole episode was Walking Dead. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a whole episode of Walking. It's so funny.
I feel terrible. I couldn't find it, and I'm dying to watch it.
It's hard to find. I had to like buy it on like Google Plus.
All right.
It was really weird, but if you ever get the chance, or at least check out the trailers for it, because the trailer's like 2 minutes long and they're still pretty funny. But
all right.
Yeah, no, there's some really, really funny stuff in there, and yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah. And was that your first time doing voiceover work? Like as being fully animated?
No, I had done a voiceover thing like, God, so many, I don't think it ever came out, but it was like a PSA thing with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I never got to like meet him or anything, but I did it, yeah, it was like 2 days, and
what was the PSA for?
I literally can't remember. I don't think it's not on my IMDb, so it never came out.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. But that was when I was like 14. So I would say that the Robot Chicken thing was my first like actual voiceover thing where I had to like really try and like try.
Yeah. And do you want to do more of that? More VO work?
That'd be so much fun.
It's the best.
Yeah,
you don't have to shave or put on pants or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be so much fun. I would love to do more. I want to get into video games because I love video games so much. And I was so jealous when Norman was telling me about Death Stranding. I was like, damn it, I want to do that.
Oh,
so I hope I get to break into that.
So you've never done a voice for a video game?
I haven't.
I have, and let me tell you, they're going to go, okay, we need you to grunt like you're making contact now. And you go, and they go, okay, do that 55 more times. You're like, fine. And then you do it. And then they're like, okay, now we need you to grunt like you're trying to make contact, but you miss. So it's a lot of that. So careful what you wish for.
Oh, yeah.
Now, your first on-screen credit, according to IMDb, is astonishingly a bizarre short film, I guess, called Jesus H. Zombie.
Yes.
And I guess you were, like 6 or 7 at the time, but obviously you have an affinity for the zombie world, my friend. What can you tell us about Jesus H. Zombie?
Yeah, I was 6. It was a student film that I had gotten through my agency.
Yep.
And I mean, it was like I was in one scene, and just go look it up. Trust me.
Oh boy,
it's worth the watch. It's really I'm pretty sure my mom posted it like 5 years ago or something, just as a joke, and it's gained a terrifying amount of traction. So just just Google it. I just gave up at this point. Like you just gotta watch it. I've never cringed so hard in my life watching anything. It's really bad. Yeah.
That's one of the perils of starting so young. Is at the time you really don't think anything of it.
Because I was 6. I was like, oh yeah, this is so cool.
Of course not. And then you get a little bit older and you look back. You're like, why did they let me do that?
Yeah.
There were supposed to be adults around protecting me from this sort of thing. Yeah, no, I've been doing this way too long myself, so I know that cringy feeling. Yeah. Just wait till you get to be my age. You have a whole entire career of cringes.
Can't wait.
So I know you talked a little bit before about your music and stuff, but I know you're like big into electronic music, and I'd love to know where your love for that came from. I can't imagine it was apparent.
Well, actually, my dad is he's a part of a band, and I was constantly exposed to rock.
Okay.
Or I mean, just good music in general, and I found electronic music like 10 years ago, and kind of just stuck with it. I liked it a lot. And,
that's great.
Yeah, I started producing music 4 years ago, and kind of my end goal as a musician is to be scoring like films and TV shows eventually.
Oh, wow.
I actually shadowed Bear McCreary and his team, and they do all the music for Walking Dead, and like so many other. They do like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They do. Oh my gosh, they did the new Godzilla. They did like so many like. They did like 4 feature films of theirs came out in like a month. So I shadowed one of the people that work under him, and he was doing. I don't know. Have any of you guys seen Apple TV's show C with Jason Momoa?
Oh.
No one? Okay. Well, never mind then. It's a great show, but he was scoring, and it was so cool to watch, because when you listen to like the soundtrack of a film, you listen to it and it sounds like they just like made the song and they just like copied and pasted it onto the film. But it's like they score it based off of the final edit. So they go through and mark like each where like a big moment needs to happen in the music because something big happens on screen, and it's so like intricately. It's just so cool, and I really want to like get into that space more. And I mean, the goal would be to like direct and score and like star in like a film or like something like that. That's kind of like the end goal. Is to like hit all mediums. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that would be cool.
There's not a whole lot of directors who score their own movies. Clint Eastwood has done it. He's not really an actor, but John Carpenter would score his own movies.
Yeah.
But that is something that you want to do, is direct. And do you write at all?
I'm a terrible writer. I've
So
just
am I.
accepted
It's
it.
fine.
I honestly thought I was like pretty decent, but I took a bunch of like AP like English classes, and I failed every single essay, man. I did great like on like the tests, but like in the essays, I'd be doing it. I'd be like, okay, I got it this time. This is good. I've got all the information here, and I get it back, and I'd get like a 60, and I'd be like, damn it, again. So I've just accepted that I'm a terrible writer. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think there's a difference between, essays that are being graded and like screenplays.
No, for sure, yeah. But I don't know. I haven't really like taken a shot at writing a screenplay. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you're getting pretty old, so
yes.
no, I'm just messing with you. You've got a long, wonderful career ahead of you. Do we have any more questions for Chandler before we sneak out of here? I guess we've answered everything, my friend. So, guys, Chandler, of course, is at his table the rest of the afternoon. So am I. One more time, a giant Wizard World round of applause. Chandler Riggs. Thank you so much for coming, guys.
Thank you so much for coming, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey, this is Alex Malari Jr., and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Your Emperor commands it. Thanks for watching.